gonna wait a few minutes to see if Jilly be here. Oops. What's up, everyone? Just seeing if we can get Jilly on here from Waterpriestess. Give us one moment. Stare.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm super excited to have this conversation. I have no idea what's going to come through, but I trust that it'll be in the highest and most well vibration for all involved. So
yes, exactly. Let me make sure I have enough charge.
Yes, likewise. Charged up. What's up, everyone? Feel free to ask questions, to comment. Interaction is good. Flow is good.
It's all coming true, and it's interesting to see through this water lens because there's so much movement going around in society right now. It's just very interesting to be a witness, you know?
Yes. And about like all the notes and the downloads, you do this stuff and kind of you do it in your own privacy and you just feel it, but no one else is around yet to understand. And here we are years later, it's all unfolding and we see it on the big stage. But just to let everyone know, I'm Chris and this is Jilly, and I just do like a formal hi to everyone. So, we set this up, I don't know, kind of here and there. We kind of pieced this live together, and we really just want to share information, insights, and wisdom that we've learned along the way, and trust that it'll serve you in some way. So just wanted to consciously recognize everyone who's going to be here and who will watch after.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I want to just say, so if you guys or any of my followers on here have been following my journey, back around December, the beginning of December, I had an experience of seeing some UFOs. And this is why, Chris and I came together, is because he basically studies this. This is his realm of study. And I can have him, you can talk about your peaceful and advancement. But I want to let you guys know, synchronistically, how we connected. And, after I had my experience, it was so expansive. And then I see this video that you had posted, and it was about you and your daughter, and she was so cute, and you were
being like, I have to share this with all of you because this energy, it can't stay in my body. It needed to be shared. And I think what was happening was it was really just a quantum wave, right? So whenever I saw the craft, when you have an encounter, a lot of people, go to Hollywood and kind of the media for what a UFO is supposed to look like. It speaks to you. There's a essence, a principle behind it. It's alive, right? These crafts are alive. So I received the transmission, put it out there, and I think prior to that, me and you had touch base once or twice, and then like you said, just cut off. But what happened in that time, you were able to really dive in deeper to your purpose, deeper to why you're here, really literally dive in and unfold it all. And simultaneously, I was learning more about, my purpose with peaceful human advancement, why I'm here. And whenever we connected just recently, now I think the bridging point is how the aura plays into all this, because I know that is a big point of information through the galactics or the ETs, but also how we talked the other day how water is now kind of a big point for these higher advanced civilizations, right? It is a form of communication. So quite literally, we are bridging these gaps, right, and bringing the heavens and the earth together. And it seems like water is kind of the medium, which takes on many different shapes and many different forms, as you know. But yes, if you haven't checked out my page, Peaceful Human Advancement, and for going on 4 years, I've had amazing contact, developed wonderful relationships with our star friends that have turned into quite literally my life's work, remembering who I am from the stars, why I'm here, ancient Egypt, Atlantis, Lemuria, all of it. It all connects, right? We're all light keepers. And I'm here to prepare souls into becoming an interstellar species, because that's really where we're going. So that's, yeah, it's big stuff.
I just got so many chills when you said that, because one of the main downloads that have been coming through for me is that I'm here. Oh my gosh. Wow. Today has just been so potent. But
Yeah.
essentially, if you're on here and you have had a UFO experience, you know what we're talking about.
Right.
The biggest thing that connected me to Chris was the way he was sharing his experience in the moment.
Right.
And he kept saying, you know, you kept saying, it's this excitement, it's this energy that I have right now that I want to transfer to you guys. And that was literally, you guys, the same thing I said in my video. Literally the same thing. I felt such a call to just make a video right then, and I was like, this is so interesting. You want them to bathe in your aura. You want them
Right.
to bathe in your codes, and that's like you're watering them in your water codes. And something that you said about being the bridge and taking people to this multidimensional self of yours, and ours, all of us, we're going through the underworld,
Right.
where as we start to shift into our rainbow bodies, our light bodies, our multidimensional selves, we have to go through the underworld. Yes.
It's all there.
And we have to go through the underworld, and this is what I like to call the way of the water. This is something that I downloaded probably 2 years ago, and I was like, I was so excited and anchoring in those codes and embodiment. So I feel like that's why we attracted each other, because we had both been through the initiations that somehow structured us to receive these codes. You know, the resonance, right? We were structured enough, we were open enough to receive, to absorb, and now we can take people through that as we start to wake up to our light bodies,
Right.
our raw bodies, you know, the multiple layers of the self.
Yes, and you said something. So you said that the rainbow body. There's another synchronicity that is fantastic, and I know what you feel like whenever you said you wrote this 2 years ago and you had no one to tell about it. So a couple months ago, not 2 years ago, but what is time, right? Anyways, so a couple months ago, I was on my deck and I was doing meditation, and I just heard rainbow, aura, golden heart, and I was like, what? Like, what is that? And I started to do some light codes and some hand signals, and I was told I need to teach this to people, right? I need to show this in my practice, right? Whenever I teach at the yoga, the inner light yoga, or even the online sessions. And I was like, okay, we're gonna go with it. And so a couple weeks after that, I was sun gazing, and as I was looking at the sun, I saw the aura of the sun, which is golden, or which is rainbow, the color spectrum, and in the center was the gold, so the light, right? The golden heart. And I was like, that's it. That's exactly what's happening. The rainbow aura, golden heart. Like, we are literally becoming a higher form of being, right? So where the hydrogen is not just the liquid, it's now, it transforms into light, right? And it becomes it becomes the bridge that takes you from the carbon base now to the crystalline based being. So rainbow aura, golden heart, yeah, powerful.
That connected so many dots, because I initially was getting, the first thing that came through for me was a rainbow bridge, and I was like, what the heck is a rainbow bridge? And if you guys don't know my journey, I posted about it earlier, but basically I healed myself with water. That's what started my water path. And then I found out I had sexual trauma when I was little, and I used mushrooms to break through to them. And I didn't have memory of it until I actually received the mushrooms. But I went through like a 1 to 2 month period of psychosis, and I was like writing all over my walls, and I started recording myself.
Did you record yourself?
I recorded myself drawing on my walls.
Yeah.
And my friend was on my bed, and it's on my old computer. So anyway, I'm starting to get these downloads about the Rainbow Bridge. So essentially, as we're moving, from carbon base to crystalline base. It's our waters that are structuring to hold the specific structure, because then once you have a structure, you resonate. That's the law of resonance. You can't resonate with something that's not your structure. And
that's where the aura comes in, yes.
And this is why people who have done aura work will not get the coronavirus, because that's a frequency.
Thank you.
Frequency doesn't match. You can't come in my aura. You know?
Right. Thank you. Oh my God, I love it so much. Yes, that's exactly. And I was just, my family and I were just talking about this. Like, it's not, because I have no idea what's going on with the coronavirus, but I do know about the aura. And baseline understanding is, if you understand frequency, you understand that like attracts like, or light attracts light, right? So if your aura is this field of energy around your body, it cannot receive something that it is not. Because, like you said,
Palak is studying. Now, it's interesting because it's like I'm taking parts of many different pieces and putting them together. So Dr. Palak is studying the science of the fourth phase of water, and what he's finding is that when a plant goes through photosynthesis, it converts sunlight into energy, right? That's what photosynthesis is. How? The plant absorbs the light, splits the waters into two different types of water.
That was crazy. I don't know what happened. So I'm going to see if we can get Jilly back here from the Waterpriestess. Yeah. Oh, there she is. Okay. No. Okay. So she just said this happens to her a lot. So we're gonna give it another go. Okay, there we go. And add Jilly in here. Oh. Retrograde shadow, yeah.
Woo! Okay.
So back to the water splitting.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you said as it cut out.
Yeah, that's what I literally stopped there. So it's splitting the waters into two types of waters, and one is positively charged and one is negatively charged. And what he found is that the negatively charged water is what converts the sunlight into energy. So the negatively charged water is structured. It has a specific structure that he calls exclusion zone water, because it goes in and it pushes everything out.
Gotcha.
It pushes out things. So it's very cleansing for the body as well. So these connections with the fourth phase of water is this is just symbolic for us waking up to plasma.
Right.
It's the missing link. You know, in school textbooks, they only teach about liquid,
the three.
solid, and
gas. That's it.
So the fourth phase is like the mystery one, and it's interesting because we're in the 2020, which is the 4-year, and when we're getting our 2020 vision that everybody talks about, you know, this year we're getting our vision. We're able to see see through the water lens who we truly are.
Right.
And so as we wake up to the different layers of our auras, we realize that this plasma can communicate throughout the entire celestial seas.
Yes. And
cosmic ocean.
And
it's
this
like a channel.
Right. And that's exactly why they call it the cosmic ocean, right? Because when you turn on your aura or your ka or your light body, that's the bridge. Now you're plugged into the sea. You're not in the boat. You're like in the water. You're swimming in the sea of life. And that's also why water retains memory too, right? Because that's like level 1 of understanding. Water retains memory, yes. And Frozen did an awesome job of getting that point across, right? Frozen 2. But now let's take that a step further. Water retains memory. So we are 70 to 90% water, right? And so, yes, we all understand that, but what does that mean? That means whenever you charge your aura and with intention, well, now it holds that vibration. So anything that you are thinking, feeling on a regular basis becomes part of the structure. Sacred, like it's all tied in the sacred geometry. The crystals, the pineal gland go to a different shape to fit it all together, so that you can send out a telepathic communication to anyone, anywhere, anytime, and you're limitless at this point.
It's the science of it.
Yeah.
We know the science of it, of the Merkabah, right?
Right.
The Mer, M-E-R, guys, Merkabah. Like, we are swimming again. We're restoring the waters to connecting them all because we've been dehydrated. Right. We have been disassociated with all the different layers of who we are. So when we hydrate ourselves, like the symbology of that is hydrating it all and bringing the juiciness back to all the, it's like dehydration is association. So it's like you're here and your light body's here. But when you're starting to tune into water, it's starting to merge it now. And we're activating the fourth phase of water right now in our literal bodies. And what's going to happen is the communication. Right. So water in your body, just on a 3D physical level, is responsible for communication. If you're dehydrated, your digestive system isn't going to be able to communicate to your cardiovascular system, isn't going to be able to communicate to your reproductive system. It's literally the communication system in your entire body. So we, in our tribe, in Wakewater Co., we use this phrase called our Hana. So when I was creating my business and stepping into my dharma, which means my life's purpose, I found this word called Hana in Hawaiian, and it means work. And it means a different kind of work. So your work has a kuleana. Kuleana means responsibility.
So Nako says, yeah.
So kuleana, what is water's responsibility here? To communicate.
Right. Now,
that is water's kuleana.
Who are you communicating with? So that's where it starts to bridge into the other beings and everything. So before we transition here, I want to tell a story that I think, like I texted you the other day, I think you'll really resonate with. So years ago, before any of this stuff, we're kind of like you. I was living by myself, no money, like at the very beginning of the hero's journey, right? Like, well, now what do I do, right? But I was sleeping really well, and I would have very vivid dreams, very lucid dreams. But this one dream, which I think was actually a vision, and this is going to tie everything you said together here, and then we're going to blast off. So I was surrounded by this group of people, right? There was hundreds, if not thousands of people, and I was in the center of them. And they were all trying to grab me, and all try to they were like angry and bitter and confused, really. And then there's these three beings, these three glowing beings, and they said, you know you can fly. And I looked at them, and I said, oh yeah. And so I took off, like just shot straight up into the air, into the atmosphere. All of a sudden, the whole crowd of people became super small. I was going through the clouds. The earth became small. The cosmos, I could see everything now. I got to a point where I was just floating, right? And then I said, oh, they can't touch me up here. There's literally nothing they can do, no matter how angry, how upset. I'm literally like above them, but not above like better than, but above like vibrationally speaking, the energy doesn't compute anymore. Then I looked and I turned my body and I shot straight down. I went straight through them, straight through the center of the earth and down into the ocean, right? I went to this huge body of water, and I could see all the different animals. I could see everything. I felt so free, right? And so light, really. And then I went all the way to the bottom in complete bliss, and then there was a bed there, and I lay down in bed, and I felt like relaxed, like I was home. And so I can't help but to think that was symbolic of, connecting it all, going up to the depths, but also going to the deepest, or heights, and then deepest depths of the ocean, which represents our water, right? The communication with everything. So I'm curious to see what your take on that little vision
Yeah, so essentially it reminds me of like the process of going into the womb, which when you're walking people through like a womb guided shamanic journey, you're walking them back home. And oftentimes when people are walking back home, they have to face themselves and they have to get out of
Mm.
the way, right? So it's like most of society. Okay, so here's the downloads coming through in this current moment.
Yes.
Our society functions on something called the law of water. The
Right.
law of water is Uniform Commercial Code Maritime Admiralty Law. This
Mm-hmm.
law is how we exchange goods and services. So just imagine like there's this law here called the law of water, and then here's the law of the land. Law
Right.
of water, law of the land. Law of water always supersedes the law of the land. Because when you go to different countries, you're functioning on their specific system.
Right.
So what happens is that when we are exchanging our currency, our cash flow, we
Mm-hmm.
have to do it through banks. Banks stop the flow of currency.
Right.
So your life force, every single part of you that flows, your channel is water. And your life force is used to create money. That's what most of us have been programmed to do, right? Is to use our
Right.
life force to create money.
That's where it's channeled, literally channeled
Exactly.
into,
That's why work starts on Monday, which is Moon Day, which is
Right.
control of the moon controls the waters.
which is the emotions, and everyone's like, oh, it's Monday.
Oh my gosh, the Monday
Yeah.
anxieties or whatever. So this is the energetic matrix, you guys. This is an ocean of water energy that the matrix is distorting for a really long time. So right when you come from your mother's waters, you're born and she signs a birth certificate to
Right.
the doctor. That birth
Doc.
certificate, that birth certificate is associated with the social security number, which is on the stock exchange. This is the root of human trafficking. This is how they do it. This is how they trade us
Yeah.
with where we're commodities. This is the
Right.
system of how they trade us.
And
Now, the reason why Epstein's island had to be an island is because you can get away with certain things on the water that you can't do on land.
right.
So why I'm bringing this up right now is because most of us are drowning in maritime admiralty seas, in the law of money, in the law of water. We're drowning in our own debt. That's energetically drowning in our own life force that has been measured. So when you start to pop out of the matrix and start, whether you start your own business or whatever, you become an entrepreneur, you wake up to this whole thing going on, right? Now, what's interesting about your dream is that Santos Bonacci refers to Jesus as the fishers of men.
Yes.
Because men were drowning in the maritime admiralty seas because we're coming from the age of Pisces.
Pisces. Yes. And I'm a Pisces, by the way.
Why? Oh, you're a Pisces?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was holding that for this very moment.
Wow. I'm a Pisces moon.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I resonate so much with Jesus and the fishers of men. I had an experience also. I was in church all these years ago, and this woman came over to me, and this is so much like you. You've been on your Dharma has been with you since you came here, but it took you a while to wake up to it. But if you look back, little things poke their heads out to let you know, like, this is where you're supposed to go. So I'm sharing one of those moments for myself. I was in church, and this woman, it was one of those huge churches where everyone goes and they're raising their hands, and if that's your vibe, that's fine. For me, it didn't work out. But this woman tapped me on the shoulder, and she puts out her hand like this, and I was probably 12 at the time. She puts out her hand like this. She was dressed in white, and and usually you would give a dap, but that wasn't the energy. So I opened my hand, and she gave me this symbol that Jesus, the fishers of men symbol. She gave me that fish, right? And I took it, and it was a meadow fish. It was probably this big. Put it in my hand. I turned to my mom. I said, "Mom, look what this woman gave me." And she said, "Chris, what woman?" And I looked. I was like, she was right there, gone.
Whoa.
So She's like, you need to keep that. Don't ever lose it. I lost it probably a week later. But in essence, the principle of the story, she said that's the fishers of men symbol. And we all are the Christ embodied, or the christened, or the crystallized being here to be realized as that. But you can't realize yourself as that until you come online. How do you come online? By aligning yourself. How do you align yourself? By being fluid, by hydrating, right? So all these things, one leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next, right? So Jesus, the fishers of men, there's so many metaphors that kind of get swept away. And
It does.
as you're talking about the maritime law, let's go back to the birth certificate real quick. People may know this, they may not, but there. So do you know what happens? Like how we got the birth certificate? Why that's even a thing?
Is the United States Corporation when it was filed?
Yes, in a way, but like with the maritime law, so what happens is, like when a ship is coming into port, right? When a ship's coming into port, they need a certificate of birth, right? So to say like, okay, we brought this in through the waters, right? So they give the people at the dock, I don't know the official names, but they give them a certificate with the time, the day, the name of the ship, and so it's like legal now.
Mm-hmm.
So anything on that ship is cargo, is owned by the people that they're signing the birth certificate to.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Exactly.
crazy.
And the ship is feminine and it sits in its birth. That's
Yes.
what they literally call it.
Yes. Yeah. Wild.
So this aspect of this law and why I bring it up, and it's so fascinating that you're a Pisces, because the reason why this law of water is so energetically limiting is because the system is not sustainable anymore. The
Right.
monetary system is not sustainable. This is why crypto is coming out. There's no.
Well, it's like a dam, right?
Crypto, yeah.
The waters
So-
are really breaking.
It is. So we're healing the waters within us. The waters within us are also structuring, and that's going to manifest without. So the monetary system is the water system, and it's falling, and the financial reset is here. But what that's doing is enabling us to swim.
Yes.
Because those of us, I mean, you could be a Pisces, you could have it in your chart anywhere, but the download that I got being a Pisces moon was that I know how to swim. I know how to swim in the celestial seas. So that's why most of my downloads are that of me
Wow.
in the
Yeah.
sea, right? Now, I tell people all the time, look up the meaning of your name. You know, look
Yes.
up your master card of life. Like, good to know your human design. Like, when you know yourself, you know your specific creation codes. And I think that's what you and I, well, I feel that's what you and I really started waking up to. And it was
Right.
it's so crystal clear.
It
And
really
I feel like what really holds a lot of people back from expanding in this way is we hold on to the what. We're like, what am I here for? What is it I'm supposed to do? You guys, it's your expression of your
That's
bliss
it.
that will
That's
show you who you are.
Right.
And that was the biggest download I got when, you know, we saw our UFO experience. I was fascinated with them, but not as much as my partner. And when we see them, the biggest download I got was like, I can literally feel my consciousness opening up just by witnessing this craft, right?
Yeah.
It was literally probably like 200-300 feet above me. And by witnessing that, whether you can say it was real or not real, my consciousness expanded
Right.
after I saw this.
Yeah.
And we didn't just see one, we saw many of them. And that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to expand, and we're ready for it.
Yes, and that's exactly it. And I love that you said that, because, and if we can switch gears just for a moment, right? So once we understand who we are, right? We understand that we're not the person that goes to work. Those are things that we do to sustain a system that has been suppressing who and what we truly are, right? And once you step into that, well, you know, if I go to New Zealand, I need to be accustomed to what it's like to live in New Zealand. If I go to China, I need to know what it's like to live there, right? If I go to New Mexico, same difference, okay? Even if I go to a different store I've never been to, I need to know what that's like. I have to have the right coding, the right makeup to be able to fit that experience. So we are preparing you, humanity, whether people know it or not, whether they like it or not, is being prepared to become interstellar. That's what's happening. That's what this is all about. But when you become interstellar, you become a responsible, peaceful ambassador, which means you know how to manage your energy. You know how to manage your thoughts, right? You know what you are. You know how to control your aura. You know how to use your third eye. But what happens is, just like whenever I go to China, I meet people who are of different culture. Whenever I become interstellar, I meet the beings who are already interstellar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm raising my vibration. I'm no longer just existing as a human going to work every single day, kind of stuck in my own bubble. And if that is you right now, that's okay, because that's where you're supposed to be, or else you wouldn't be, right? And that's not to say, but the goal here is that we are evolving. Everything evolves, everything vibrates, everything moves, nothing stays still, everything flows. So as we become interstellar, we're being guided, right? And the beings I work with are ET. If you look at the account, you'll see that. And nothing I post is for anything other than assisting people on their ascension, and really humanity at large. Like, we didn't pick like small missions. And I know I told you the other day, I said your work is ahead of your time. Like, people aren't going to understand it right now, but you're laying a foundation down so that we can take off, right? Terrence McKenna says, he has a beautiful clip, and I think who is Spectrum in one of his songs, at the end of it, he says, you know, this is what it's like for humans to move into the next density. It's a madhouse. Because everything's being turned upside down. We're also used to this life, and now here comes the floodgates open of truth, of light, right?